have a question for you. Bob has a question for you. Should I pull Eidolons? Should Bob pull Eidolons? Before we even begin, I'm just gonna start a poll right now. Mods, start a poll right now. YouTube, I'm gonna start it. So we're gonna have this poll in real time right now. I need everyone and their moms to move right now. Alright, so I'm just gonna pull up the results right now. I just asked my chat this exact question. Should a free-to-play pull for Eidolons? Should Bob pull for Eidolons? And here are the results. Almost 2,000 votes out of like 4,000-5,000 viewers. I think that is honestly very, very nice. From the YouTube Frog side, we are roughly at 48% yes and 52% no at a 763 vote. So almost 50-50, 2% more leaning towards no. It's like the Squid Game, buddy. Do you want to play or do you want to leave? Unfortunately, looks like YouTube Frogs are gonna be, not pulling for Eidolons or Street Free. And then for the Twitch side, we do have with us a resounding no at 59% no and 41% yes. A majority of people feel that a free-to-play should not pull for Eidolons. I have played these games before. That's crazy, bro. Alright, and the reason why I wanted to ask you guys this, right, is because I am in a scenario with Bob where this would be pivotal as to how Bob plans out his pulls, as well as basically kind of like the whole mindset and the purpose of Bob, right? Because Bob's purpose, like I've explained since day one, is supposed to represent a free-to-play player that can make the best decision based on the cards that he was dealt with, as well as whatever available knowledge available to him at that given point of time. So the reason why I started to ask this is because, as we all know by now, E2 Herta is busted. Alright, nobody needs to question this. This is a ridiculous Eidolon. Alright, action value advanced, double enhanced skill. You basically get 100% enhanced skill, and on top of that, you get the additional 15% reset, so you stack on your interpretation even easier. This is a bastard ass Eidolon. I would dare say, if Bob were to go all in for E2 Herta, he would most likely not need to pull for like a very, very, very long time. Right, his team-wise is pretty much secure. It is kind of like your E2 Phasia or E2 Aircraft, except they're on roids, right? Kind of. This brings about a interesting standstill because there are kind of two camps of people. As you guys can see, it was not like a 90-10, right? Or an 80-20. It was almost like a 50-50 on YouTube and a 60-40 on Twitch. So I think on one hand, because Bob is a individual, or rather is a entity, that would make the best use of what Bob has, right? Not only must we factor in the fact that, Bob could lose 50-50 and go into hard pity, Bob could also win. Bob could win an early 10 pool, bada boom, bada bing, bada bang, snipe one Herta in a single 10 pool. Which means if we want to really consider this from a standpoint of making the best use of what Bob has, it would be, possible for Bob to keep going because he got lucky, right? He won. And at the end of the day, this is a gacha game. Now, unfortunately, this also means that a lot of players are not gonna be able to, relate with Bob. Because the odds of you getting a 5-star in a single 10 pool is astronomically low. Not impossible, but definitely astronomically low. So in terms of the representation, right? Bob wouldn't be able to represent a larger audience, compared to people that actually got a single copy at like 77 pools, which is the median number of pools required for a 5-star. And then you have that, so 50% of them won, 50% of them lost. Bob would be a little bit more in I guess a better position to make it a experience that people that watch Bob's journey able to relate to him. On the flip side, if we intentionally take away the fact that if Bob ever gets lucky, but he is not allowed to continue pursuing for Eidolons, you are technically no longer playing Bob at the best possible, decision making, right? He is not allowed to make this potentially better decision because Bob is not allowed to pull for these, potentially game-changing Eidolons. So for example, right, the best example I can think of is if Bob, let's just say he started on Robin's banner last time. Alright, if he started on Robin's banner last time, the best decision for Bob would be to try and go for an E1 Robin. Because E1 Robin, it gives a tremendous damage amplification to a lot of different teams, which means that Bob can pivot into a lot of different teams, see which one Bob prefers, and she will, technically have a longer shelf life, right? You are investing in an Eidolon, it is quite literally like you investing in a shelf life. Bob pulling for E1 Bobbin back then, it is considered like the best decision. If we fast forward and apply this to today, it means that Bob would be at a disadvantage. He cannot pull for the theoretical best decision making anymore, and he is hard capped at E0. Bob could also get unlucky. Now, people would be very quick to punish Bob. Oh, he got an early 10 pull, stop, you can't do that anymore. But no one would sympathize with Bob if Bob loses. If Bob lost all 160 summons and went to hard pretty for D Herta, what the hell is he gonna do then? He doesn't get any refunds, right? He doesn't get any, rebates. He doesn't get a discount. He doesn't get additional resources. He just lost, and the internet would just laugh at Bob. Okay, maybe the internet wouldn't laugh because the internet loves Bob, right? You guys love Bob, right? Maybe the internet will cry, right? They'll cry at Bob, right? They'll wear with him a little bit. Sad, there, Bob, cheer up, right? Maybe we get a couple of gifted subs, who knows? But Bob as an account would be in a diabolically bad position. And Bob would have to take advantage, or rather try to make the best use of what just happened to his account after losing and going to 160 summons. I do want to kind of say there is a compromise. A potential compromise that I kind of cooked up with Bob is, if we win an early 10 pool, then fuck it. We will just go for a wider account instead of a deeper account. You get what I'm saying? So even if we win an early 10 pool, it means that Bob is positioned to pull for more units, right? You have more pools saved up for future DPS, you have more pools saved up for future sustain, future support, because you won, right? So this is kind of like a middle line where Bob is not allowed to pull for Eidolons. You have more pools for future banners, essentially, right? But you just cannot have Eidolons. On one hand, that's pretty good, right? And who's to say no to more opportunities to get more units? And this is low-key like an insurance, right? This is low-key like an insurance that, let's just say in the future if we lost, it's not that bad because Bob won, right? So it will cancel out and be neutral, and life kind of goes on as it is. But then on the flip side, Bob himself might need to start to factor in whether or not he wants to build I think in my opinion, an optimized Bob account is 2 best in slot teams. Because what if this scenario just keeps happening and Bob just keeps winning? Now, I would say this is extremely unlikely, by the way. But what if Bob just keeps winning and he wins and he wins and he wins? Then this might lead to a scenario where Bob is kind of just forced to just, pull for these different characters. And not to mention, Bob is also human, right? Bob is also human. Bob will also get tempted by FOMO and greed and stupidity. Everyone and their moms, they are not immune to this. Now Bob is in like, shit, I got this guy in the temple. I'm not going for Eidolons anyways because my chat says I can't go for Eidolons. Oh my god, look at the next shiny DPS. Now, I know I probably wouldn't need a DPS, but since I just won and I might just go ahead and try, right? And let's just say Bob failed. He might end up making decisions that are not optimal in the path towards this, the savior of free-to-play, right? Bob might be tempted, but the devil himself, Tecton, I'm just kidding, right? The FOMO devil, right? The FOMO devil.
I would say you shouldn't pull Eidolons until have 2 teams with 5 stars. After that, it can be beneficiary to get Eidolon. Eidolon is always going to be worse than Linkshare, Fugue, or Sunday instead 4-star.
Eidolon is always going to be worse than Linkshare or Fugue or Sunday instead of 4-star. Honestly, debatable. Honestly, debatable. Because let's just say, right? Let's just say we go for a white team here, alright? We run for a Herta, E0S0 Bobbin, E0S0 Herta, E0S0 Linkshare, and E0S0, either Herta or Seville. I would say, minus away this Linkshare and Robin, and I just went for an E2S0 Herta with this exact same team, can you say with confidence that this team will be worse or better? Because I can't. I actually cannot tell you if a E2 S0 with all this is going to be better or worse than a team with, 3 different 5 stars. So that might not always hold true, right? I don't have proof, but it is not a simple matter of, Eidolons are always worse than new units. And we're not even factoring in the time it takes to build all these new units as well, right? I've cleared all content with E0 S0 a long time ago. If Bob's Priority is doing a quick clear, I think it's fine to go all E0 S0, and Bob will have more content if you pull for more characters. I don't want to spam, but can you please read my essay? I'm not reading all that. Summarize that in one sentence, buddy. E2 is, okay, the character is just way better to invest horizontally than invest vertically. Just pull, bro. Don't even think. Bob will always win. Bob is him. That is not helpful, chat. That is not helpful. Pulling for smart Eidolons, longevity of teams, not pulling every artifact is more resource saved.
I think you should allocate to the 105 pulls per character, as the idea is to show average FTP experience. If you do that, then it's fine to go for Eidolons.
Allocate 105 pulls per character. I'm not going to do that. Why? Because if I lose, for example, for Herda, if I lost, I would have went all in anyways. Because it really depends on the character and how important it is for Bob. The Herda is so important for Bob right now because we had nothing. We were legit running Hanma 7 and Baby Herda. So this really made it a lot more important. So different units.
Chat.
Yep.
Pull for Eidolons, so we can keep designing E0 characters worse. To FOMO and sell the rest of the kit on Eidolons and light cones.
That is a good point though. Okay, wait, that is actually a good point. Dawei's yacht number 52 driver, that is an interesting point. If more people pull for Eidolons, it does show to the devs that people don't mind pulling for Eidolons. And then they might just create more and more characters behind more and more broken E1 and E2s, and then they just make their E0 kits like, not that impressive. And if Bob pulls for Eidolons, if a free-to-play like a Bob pulls for Eidolons, it might signal something that is more than just the account itself. Good point. Honestly, good point. It is gonna be like Yu Kong's situation. What's the point? Wasn't the point of this account to show that Bob made use of what he gets and what he has? So what if we get 5-star and 10 pulls? Yeah, so we make use of what we have, right? We want to make use of what we have. But I need to find a balance between making use of what Bob has and appealing to a demographic, which is the free-to-plays.
Having 2 teams should always be the main priority. Bob can pull E0 characters left and right if he thinks they'll be beneficial, but if Bob ends up with a team he likes or think will be very beneficial in the long run, example Big Bird team, then he can start to consider pulling Eidolons.
Okay, I think my TDS bought that.
If you 1 in 20, you freeze 85. If you pull in 180, you unfreeze 75 from the stash. This would mean that your account will always have 105 pulls of average luck or unluckier.
Rest of the stuff, I'm gonna just be leaving it up to you guys in YouTube to decide, alright? YouTube comments from the future. I know there are a lot of you guys that don't watch my stream but watch my YouTube. Please enter your comments down below. We're roughly at 20 minutes here. Should Bob pull for Eidolons? Should a free-to-play pull for Eidolons? Now we don't need to talk about Lycon. Okay, the reason why I wouldn't ever... Okay, I'll just make this a very quick segment, right? The reason why Bob wouldn't consider light cone most of the time is because the inherent value of a light cone without the limited 5-star, it is far worse than compared to a limited 5-star without a light cone. And the moment you factor in the odds of you actually losing this, even though it is a less likely odd, but if you actually do lose this, you are far worse because it doesn't bring over to the actual unit. So for a free-to-play, it is all great, right? 75-25, 10 pulls lesser, it is great, pretty decent upgrade. But if you actually lose this, it fucks Bob up quite significantly, unless Bob is in a specific scenario where you can pivot and funnel enough pulls such that in the event you lose at 75-25, you have enough to secure the next light cone and the limited unit on top of that, which means you will need to dedicate 140 plus 160 pulls, which is 300 pulls minimum, to account for the worst case scenario. That might take a while, and I need to factor this in before considering for light cones. And not to mention, most of the time, you don't get any of the 4-star Eidolons. So units like Gallagher, all that.
The F2P demographic is way more strategic about their pulls compared to the demographic who is complaining. Why would F2P self-sabotage? Bob is not meant to showcase all characters. It will never be relatable to everyone. You got main account to showcase that.
Okay, so Bobby Wobby thinks I should just pull for Eidolons.
Overcomplicating this when this is what free-to-plays do. I have 90 pulls, all in red. No.
That is true though. Free to play is just all in rate anyways. The moment I pass this Bob account to a filthy fucking free to play, they'll just dump everything. They wouldn't stop themselves, they're just all in. You know what? That is 100% true. Normal free-to-plays will never have the self-restraint of holding up like fucking 200 summons in the bank account, you know? This is already above and beyond. That is true. That is true. Ooh, yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we can reach a... I really don't think this during the past 23 minutes, me and my chat have reached a common ground. That we haven't reached a common ground yet. There are convincing arguments to both sides. Do we be relatable to everyone? Do we just want to make this the best possible free-to-play account that Bob can make use of? Or should we be, you know, saving up the pool? Should we be distributing the pools equally? Should we be investing in, you know, accounting for 50-50s? What happens if we lose? Early 10 pool? What? Yo, oh my god, oh chat, what if I get a double 5-star on a single 10 pool? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna say it right now. If I get a double 5-star in one 10 pool, I'm activating that shit. I don't give a fuck, man. Bro, if God wants to give me 2 5-star in one 10 pool, I'm not gonna say no, right? If that actually happens, I'm using it. But, you know. Anyways.
I want to remind you that one of your earlier points about defending the P word is Eidolons during rerun. Your video mentioned you saying, why do we shame people who pull Eidolons? Why not let Bob be the one that proves pulling reruns is worth it, and let Bob break the barrier and stop the Eidolon pullers from finally being shamed and hated upon?
Why do we shame people who pull for Eidolons? Why not let Bob be the one that proves pulling for reruns or like Eidolons is worth it? Let Bob break the barrier and stop the Eidolon pullers from getting shamed and hated upon. Ooh, 40, you are cooking, bro. So you're standing up for the free-to-plays that pull for Eidolons, because for far too long, free-to-plays has been getting shamed. Oh, look at that E0 Scylla 0 cycle. Oh, wait, he has E2 buff and kill yours. You know what? You make a very fair point again. It is. I hear a lot of valid points. They genuinely are, and that's why I'm just so undecisive. Okay, the word of the day is gonna be whatever the word that you guys believe that Bob should do. So that's gonna be the word of the day, right? So join Twitch, join YouTube, join Discord, join Twitter, join Twitter. All of this is gonna produce. See you guys next time. Take care.